she know what we're talking about?
No, but she's just going to probably just chime in.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Trailer Park Show. I'm Marilyn Jackson,
I'm Adela Tanner.
and we will be your co-host tonight, as along with Miss Chris. She's on her way. How's everyone's day? I hope everyone is doing well. The weather really changed on us. That was so kind of like drastic, wasn't it? We had there's Miss Chris.
Miss
She's
Chris
our
Ritter.
producer. Yes.
Howdy, howdy.
We're in our coffee clutch.
To-
The guys are outside, we're inside tonight, so this is our
Yes.
wonderful coffee clutch.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just, shoot the breeze with the girls tonight.
It's a ladies' night.
Ladies' night.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a ladies' night. You're right.
Brought the camera inside. Cold outside, we don't want to be out there.
Right. So Della, tell us what's happening in this city of Austin.
Okay, well, Miss Marilyn has asked me to just give a synopsis of what I've gathered from the 10-1, and you can chime in with whatever you've got and whatever questions, please feel free to stop me.
Okay.
But one of the things that a lot of people have asked me, I've literally had friends or family call me and ask me, so tell me about the mayoral race. Tell me what district I live in. So I thought, why not just give a brief overview in the most basic terms as to this 10-1 system, because what people really need to see is that this is the closest to that you're going to get to actual policy changing, policy making. You have to understand with these districts, these 10-1, let's start with that, meaning 10 individual districts
Yes.
within not Travis County, I'm sorry, within Austin. And these 10 individual districts are so distinctly themselves that the representatives on this council, 9 council and 10 council members, 1 mayor. So that's what makes up the 10-1. Southeast with Pio Renteria in District 3 is dealing with completely different issues than District 6 in Northwest Austin, and different issues than District 7. So it's a culmination of all of these issues that Austin's been facing that finally these representatives that Austinites voted on are finally bringing to the table. And we've got different parties on this, even though it's a nonpartisan race, which I'm glad. There's such a stewing brew of ideas coming out of Austin for women, for African Americans, for police disenfranchisement, for all of these issues that have been pressing, but no one has really had the gall, so to say, to stand up and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be that one person that says, why aren't you people talking about this? Why isn't this being addressed?
Well,
So I hope that gives a little bit of clarity for the 10-1 system and the mayor and how much role the mayor has. And it's very important for people to understand their council member basically acts as, I would say, president of your little area. Let's look at it as a state, and each little district, your council member has that power to be your voice. These people are your t-ball coaches. They're your teachers. They're your PTA moms. They're the guy that shops with you, that helps you with your groceries out, at the grocery store. These are tangible people. They're not some government officials floating in an ether somewhere. These are the people for you to talk to, them, or reach out to them.
Yes.
Look at their policies. Look at what they campaigned on, because there were no losers in this 10-1 system. Out of this race, this historical race, because it's never happened in Austin before, is 78, correct me if I'm wrong, but 78 candidates, 78 out of millions that could have run but didn't. And to their credit, a lot of people just want a leader. They don't want to be the leader, but they want a leader.
Yes.
These 78 stood up and were like, I probably may not win, but what the hell? I may as well try. What have I got to lose? My
Exactly.
reputation, so what? So we've got to give credit to all 78. In my mind, there were no losers, because a lot of these, Ed English, Pete Salazar, Laura Presley, all of the ones that weren't able to win their seat are still doing amazing things out in the community.
Exactly.
And that's what I love, that these people stood up And
Yes.
I'm glad that we're able to talk about this and
Yes.
finally get this to some of the people that may be tuning in tonight that haven't tuned in before.
Right. Another thing I was thinking about too is that even that person that, say for instance, if you didn't vote for them, but yet they won in your district, you still, like you indicated, need to see what their policies are. What are the things is that they ran on? And not only do you want to just hold them accountable for that, but you want to see, especially with the things that you partner with, how is it that I can come down and I can partner with you? How can I come and be a part of this and help this thing come to pass, because it's something that I'm really believing in.
Yes, and I hope it passes next time around.
Exactly.
That was one of the things I had with the candidates that we had on the show, was how accessible they were going to be to the people. Would they be willing
Exactly.
to have
Yes.
monthly town meetings or monthly district meetings so that they can talk to their constituents and find out what's going on? You know, like down in Dove Springs, there's still some people waiting for what to do with that flood from a year or so ago, because they haven't received their compensation, so to speak, for
Wow.
the stuff that's down there. There's people that are still waiting on that stuff, and the old city, is like, oh, and hopefully that the representative Delia might be able to help them, put them in the right direction on where to go to resolve their issues
Right.
that they have there. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
so-
just need to get involved, don't they? They need to go down, see what it is that they need to do, to get the things done.
Well, a lot of them said that they would come out to the community and have these things. So I'd say the community, the neighborhood leaders and stuff, try to get in touch with them to make them hold true to that, come
Exactly.
out and talk to the people thing.
Yes, and a lot of these candidates, thankfully, are already presidents of Organization A or Homeowners Association president
Right,
here,
right.
or they're already connected and they already have these intricate little already built rapport with local businesses in that area, because the
Right.
businesses and the economic situations in these different districts is also different. Southwest Austin with Ellen Troxclair is different than,
Southeast Austin.
yeah, exactly. And there's both South Austin, but East and West are so different.
Very
The mayoral candidates were so diverse in and of themselves, and like I said, everyone has been involved in
Yes.
politics, and actually there's been some that have not been involved in politics. And what I loved about
They're in
10
for a rude awakening.
what I loved about 10-1 and all the 78 candidates is some of them had no political background.
Fresh blood.
Fresh
Fresh
blood,
blood.
and they
Yes.
they weren't jaded by the pulling here and the pulling there. They were just like, I just want to get something done because I'm tired of the sidewalks in
Right.
my district, or we don't have enough transportation. I know that was a big one in District 6, where there's only one
Right.
bus route
Wow.
over by I want to say it's 2222 and 620 in that area. And so there's these little, and over in that West Austin, they're dealing with water shortage. Over in
Yeah.
East Austin,
Yes.
they've got agriculture and these agricultural farms, and I'm like, how is this all happening in the same city?
And
Yes,
it'd be
it's
nice
amazing.
to see them not shove things down our throats like the light rail issue and
Ah.
things like that, that big old boondoggle that we really don't need. And bike lanes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're not going to get me started on bike lanes. But anyway, some of these things that just really aren't needed. From what I see on the rail stuff, it's still like reaching out to the north. It's not reaching down to Dove Springs.
No.
There's
Yeah.
nothing going down there to South Austin with the rail. It's all catering to the rail that's already existing, going out to Leander Cedar Park and all that. And even though it is being used now, I'm not going to say it's not being used where commuters going downtown, but they have it going here through East Austin, and they barely have any stops. They have one stop like outside of downtown, behind where the old Nuevo Leon used to be.
Yes.
The major station there, and then they've got one that's like Capital. What is that mall up there? That Capitol Mall.
Oh, Highland.
Highland Mall,
Highland
around
Mall.
in that area. And then the rest of it's all just going up there to Leander and stuff. But hey, there's people that live in South Austin that need to commute too. There's
Well-
people in South, and there's all over the city that need to commute. It's just not that one area of those people getting to downtown. And I just don't, or West Austin or wherever that rail doesn't reach.
Yeah.
Well, by the time you get downtown, when you're talking about South Austin, all the major heavy traffic on 35, from Slaughter, and for some reason there's always a
It backs
accident
up.
right there in
On
Slaughter
where
Lane. It's
Riverside
just
goes.
crazy.
And it's crazy. And then they put that toll road out there. Nobody uses those toll roads.
Well, and some people do use them, but who wants to pay for them?
Not near as many as
You know,
good.
well, and the
It's-
toll roads just went up in January.
And it's ridiculous how much
So-
they cost, but that's not really. Well, I guess that is Capital Metro's, but it was also the planning thing, wasn't it? The city planning, and it's like people didn't want it, yet we still got it run down our throats.
Yeah. Well, we certainly need to talk to whoever it is that's representing our district and
Yeah.
let them know, no.
We just don't want
You know,
it,
if that is what-
and hopefully that these candidates will. It's not like I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine type thing. You know, the old boy network type thing. It's like let's stand up and say no. You know, just no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Well,
just,
it's for a change, say it's not beneficial for the people.
yeah, exactly.
You know, it may be beneficial for you, but not for the people.
Yeah, and the Cedar Park and Leander, they're not even city of Austin. So why are they getting all the light rail stuff?
Well, I'm sure they paid some monies to have it, you know, because they need that commute coming into town.
That's Capital Metro. It's not Leandro Capital Metro or Cedar Park Capital Metro. It's Capital Metro. Yeah, I just don't understand why it's going out to those cities.
And as far as I understand
It's
now,
not going to
I
Kyle,
think
Buda.
plans are to go upwards, like a light rail system. So I think some sort of fast transit system is going to come into play at some point.
Monorails, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, it was almost like no urban rail. Okay, on to the next one. But the thing about the transportation is across the board, everybody can agree, I think, pretty much. If you went to the urban rail meetings and whether you opposed it or were for it, there's obviously
A need.
across the board, it was unanimous. Almost every single candidate agreed we have got a major transportation system and so problem. So whether it's redoing the structures that we already have, whether it's hubs, whether it's larger bike lanes. I mean, the
get
fact
bike
that-
lanes going.
Well, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. We're not talking bike lanes.
Don't get me
We're not
started on
talking
bike
bike
lanes.
lanes. We're not talking bike lanes. But the point is that these candidates do have these diverse people that live in their area.
Yeah.
Even if you are socioeconomically
Yes.
the same, you've still got, different religions in that one district. You've got different, ways of life in this district over here. So the council.
There's a lot of diversity.
Yes, and so for the council member that you elect in your district, really, I hope, is open to listening to the constituents. And that's what I've been telling people, hold your council members accountable. And if they do not do what they've promised, it actually makes it harder for campaign workers to want to work for a candidate
Yes.
that falls short on their promises,
Yeah.
especially basic promises like better water, more water, basic transportation, better sidewalks. And these are
Yeah,
things,
that's it.
these were great ideas that people that aren't, engineers and that aren't attorneys that come up with ideas. They may not be perfect. They may be a fleeting idea, but let's come back to the drawing board and see what we can do. People have to learn to put their personal differences aside and be like, look, we have got bigger fish to fry than what you're griping about and what you're griping about.
Well.
Let's look at what tangibly we can get done
Come on.
with the budget that's been
Yes.
allocated for this and for that, because there's a lot of changes going on with the district and with the 10-1 system, and one of them being transparency and how they relay the information. Everybody watching this, I hope, becomes more involved, because there's a website where you can go and it's almost like live. They want people's input.
Yes.
Every candidate that I've talked to and every council person I've talked to want actual input. We're not talking about a presidential candidate that you can't reach. We're not talking about someone running for, state, like a statewide, where representatives are a little bit harder to reach. These are people that their kids go to your same schools. It's like, it's not that hard to get out and come visit them.
It'll be interesting to see what the year will bring.
That is true.
What the
Especially
future
if,
holds.
especially if you have issues, bring those issues. You can be diplomatic, you can be upset, and you can be irate about something, and you can still bring it to your council member in a very diplomatic way.
Yeah.
You catch more. You catch more. What is it? More bees with honey, or whatever. Whatever
Hey,
that.
God, when there's people speaking to you at the little podium in citizens communication, actually pay attention to what they're saying.
Yes.
Because generally half the time they're like,
Or doing this, or scoffing, which. And I don't think that
doing
they
a Karen Sunlightner with their eyes like this.
yeah, and so when I see council members actually taking notes or actually nodding in agreement or somehow acknowledging the person
Acknowledge
speaking.
the person speaking and give them a little bit of feedback if there's some a way to contact them or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
Just don't sit there and just poo-poo.
Yes.
Get away.
Well, and you don't know everything, meaning council members. They don't know everything.
They don't. That's why
And,
they
you know,
need the community.
Exactly. And so you're right. They need the
Because
community.
they're freshmen.
And we
They're
might
the
have
freshmen.
our, we might have
10
our
run.
local Ronnie Reefer seeds and Jennifer Gales coming in there and saying their piece. But gee whiz, they got 3 minutes. Let them speak.
Yes, they
You
have
know,
they have the same
right to
rights that we
speak.
do. Yeah.
You know?
But this is my thing. They want to hear from the people. And the people come and they show up and they pour their hearts out. And all along, it's like, in the past, it's like city council have already had their own agenda.
Oh, exactly.
And it's like, okay, well, what did the people waste their time for? I mean, you know, it's like if I come down there and I pour my heart out and I tell you these are the things that are concerning me, and yet you don't take the time
Yeah.
out to see what is wrong, but yet you already have your mind made up that you're going to totally vote against everything anyway that I've said about. So some people say, well, what good is my voice? What good is
Well, in
what my voice
dealings with
do?
the city council and sometimes with the commissioner's court too, we've gone to talk on issues that have a set time on the agenda, and we'll call ahead and say, you know, what time are they hearing us? Well, one of the issues was the electronic voting machines. We had a bunch of people that were ready to go address the commissioner's court. Well, they pulled it off the agenda and ran it through consent before we even got down there. And now their offices are saying, oh, well, you're going to hear this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so be there at 3, blah, blah, blah. And then they run it through consent. And then, like these marathon city council sessions that they've had,
yeah.
where people come to sit in city council to speak on a certain issue, yet they delay that issue till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on their things, where people finally get tired of sitting there waiting on it, and boom, then they can run it through. You know?
And I did read, you know, recently that they want to make some changes, so
Yeah, the
well,
mayor
you won't
said that.
be down there at 12 and
No
1
more,
o'clock in the morning.
no more marathon sessions like that.
Right.
Where they more or less outweighted you sitting there in the council chambers. They'll run through all the other stuff and elongate it, have all the little planners come in and do blah 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 for hours, and then the people who want to speak sit there and speak. They get poo poo go go bye. Yeah. Little minions go.
That's when it's a good time to find the opposing candidates for that particular council and say, what can you help me get done in this district? What can we possibly, say your issue is declining first response to your specific area.
We have no problem with that one. They respond pretty darn quick.
That's a good thing.
It's Dust Springs. They respond
That's a
fast.
really
But
good
that
thing.
did come up for District 10 and District 6. There's a slower response time
Okay.
to a rising crime rate and a slower first response time. So something like that, if it's that important to you, take it to, there were 6 people that ran in District 6. Take it to all 6 of them. Maybe your current council member, I have a lot of faith in Don. I have a lot of faith in this current council as a
Good old
council.
Don, I like Don.
As
Don's
a,
pretty good.
as a council. And Don's in and of himself, he is a warrior.
We got
of,
one in that we like. We
Yeah.
got one or 2 in Delia. We got a few in
And
there
Ellen.
that we like.
Yeah,
Ellen
and
Troxel.
to be a council person and understand and I respect the candidates and the councilmen in the respect that I saw what it was like. I've seen disgruntled voters because I was in the crowds. I was not any candidate, but I got to sit in the crowd and take my notes of. And people were really mad about certain things, understandably so. And it was my first time to be like, wow, people actually are
And you know-
angry about these
Well,
things.
where
or
I'm,
hurt.
where I'm at
Yes.
in my district, I'm trying to get them to, you know, be more involved, get in touch with Delia and all that. But we've got a lot of disgruntled people out there that just feel like it's like they're running up against a brick wall, you know. And I'm telling them, this is a new change, this is a new way of doing things. You know, let's be in contact with them, you know,
Yes.
see what we can do. You have more of a voice now. Like, isn't it like kind of like New York with the aldermans, where they had like the aldermans for the boroughs and stuff, and they're like they're the doers and the shakers up there in New York, and you know they're important people, and you know the city listens to them, and you know the mayor listens to them, and they go in there and they do what they need to do, and they get things done. And I just don't want to sit here with the previous lame duck city councils that you know were lining their pockets and scratching their backs and using it as a springboard, like Kirk Watson, to get into higher office.
Well, and
Mayor
another
Frog,
thing, too-
excuse me, it's Mayor Frog to get into higher
Well,
office.
and another thing too, we as citizens or these constituents, we need to change our mindsets too.
Yes.
You know, to think that they won't hear us, or to think think
Exactly.
that our voice won't go
Exactly.
nowhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we do need to change it. I've been
Especially with 10-1.
I've
We've
been
gotta get
talking with
involved.
people. I've been talking with people because there are disgruntled people about a lot of things. I'm like, well, let's do what they said that we could
Exactly,
do.
yeah.
Approach them, and you know, Delia, Don, all you guys, if y'all are watching out there, any of your people in their little in your offices watching. Do plan these these district meetings in your area. There's
Yes.
many community centers that you can use. There's
Yes.
plenty of libraries you can use. You know, it's under the city's control to use these places. Please go out there once a month, once every other month, something just to get out there
Yes.
and be in touch with the people, because the people can't always go downtown. Parking down there is horrendous.
Oh my gosh.
And like in previous, like I said with the previous city council, you know, you only have 3 minutes to talk in front of the city council. You know, this way you can have a few more minutes to talk to your people and be in touch with, and just don't do one phone call, do 2, 3, 4 phone calls. Don't give up after the first time. Just keep on going and going and going. And you know, hopefully this new 10 city council member, we will get things done in this city compared to not being able to in the past.
right, because city council can be intimidating.
Well, especially when
can,
they're
you
sitting
know,
there
for
looking
both
at you like,
sides.
For both sides.
And so why not come to the neighborhood center? Why not come to a neighborhood meeting? You'll have the community there. It's your district. You need to show your face
and
up.
people will show up to them. You know,
Oh,
in my
yeah.
little area, there's plenty of community leaders that little group leaders that are out there that will come to these things, that will bring the people in. Even if one person shows up, at least listen to that one person. It's, you know, rent the room for an hour or whatever, do whatever you do to get it. But if that one person's there, talk to him for an hour.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And from what you said, that we as citizens have to change our mindset, we do have to stop thinking, my vote's not going to count.
Exactly.
Because it's never going to get you to the poll that one time. Because like I said, my husband only won his precinct chair by 4 votes. So that's what I tell people. That's how important your one vote is. People do not realize a vote is not just something you cast. This is your legal voice as to what you want to have done. And whether you use it or not is completely up to you. And when you look at it that way, it really puts the weight of that responsibility on yourself. Do you realize how much a responsibility that is? To get out there and to actually tell your representatives, and so what? Your policy that you were for may not have passed. Okay, go to the community leaders or the organizers of that specific policy platform, whatever it was that you were trying to get achieved. There's no reason to stop. Just
Come on.
because your policy didn't win or your candidate didn't win or your district you felt is getting the short end of the stick, that's not a reason to say, hey, I'm not going to vote anymore. I mean, I understand the disenfranchisement. I understand the feeling of being defeat. But it makes it harder for these 2 women and myself and people like us that are trying to be liaisons and advocates for people that either don't know how to vote for language reasons, or people need to be able to say, I don't know what a platform is. I have no idea what a Republican is. What's a Democrat? What's a policy? I have no idea what district I live in. We have to make it okay for people to say those things. And I'm hoping anybody on city council watching this, I really do have faith in the council, and that many of them will keep their promises, because I've seen pictures in the news and stuff, that a lot of these already came. They were already leaders,
Yeah.
pillars of their communities. And so far, I think that they are working okay as a council. I don't know if y'all are following it, but of course I'm like a politics nerd, so I'm following it. But what I really like about 10-1 is, like I said, the diversity in 10-1 in and of itself, 3 conservatives and the rest Austin.
Right.
And the fact that this can happen in Austin, and there has to be, this is a nonpartisan race. And these candidates have to remember that. And the people that want to say, oh, they're not left-leaning enough or they're not right-leaning enough, do you remember that this is a nonpartisan race? The bigger
supposed to
picture
be.
is we need traffic fixed, we need water fixed. Does it matter how someone, it doesn't matter in a nonpartisan race.
And
Do you
affordable
know- here's what I'm
housing.
saying?
We just
Affordable
noticed.
housing,
We just
yes.
noticed on the way over here, out in McKinney Falls area, they have 2 massive construction projects going on, and it's going to be apartments. There's even one off William Cannon that's a massive apartment building thing. And how much you want to make a bet? A 1-bedroom in one of these places is going to go for $1,000. You know, that is
Yeah.
not affordable housing.
And they're
No.
still building, and I'm like,
And
who's
they're building
moving
it-
into them?
Everybody
But who can
that moves into this city
Well,
every week.
I guess I'm talking about more west. I see a lot of like real building that's going on like Lakeway, Westlake area, and I'm like, who's living in these houses? Are these more
They're-
vacation homes?
There's a lot of people that I know that can't afford that $1,000 a month. You know, there's
Well,
a
you're
lot of
absolutely
fixed
right.
income people, and the fixed income people, you know, the seniors and all this, they have no place to live. They're on fixed Social Security. They're either on disability or Social Security, and they can't afford this one room or efficiency, whatever, for $1,000 a month. Plus their utilities, plus their food, and they get food stamps. Yeah, but how much food stamps you think they get a month?
Well,
Yeah.
They get like $50 worth of food stamps a month. And how are you going to feed yourself on $50 a week?
You know, and
I could do that in a half a week. Okay, I could do $50 in a half a week. No problem doing that. But the seniors and stuff, that's one of my issues is for looking at the seniors. We have a lot of seniors in the community, and these homes that they have, like the RJ Towers and that other place downtown, they have a waiting list that's like 50 years long. But you've got all these people that, you know, their homes are going up, they can't afford to pay the taxes on them. They have to move into something that's affordable, a residential community or whatever. Still, that's expensive. And I know Medicare, they pay some of the stuff like for a residential where they have like people to help you out and stuff, you know, where you can pull the cord and they come swarming in and everything. But the elderly
It's
are
not their
getting
rent.
priced out of this city. You know, what we make. You know,
Well, and most people don't want to move into a
medium.
nursing home.
You know, nursing homes are like, you know, they don't want to go in there. Have you seen what goes on in some of the nursing homes? Sure, they had the nice ones, the high dollar ones, that you're going to get the spa treatment. But for me in Polk, what are we going to get?
yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the elderly, because that was one of the issues that would come up in some of the forums that I would go to.
And disabled. The disabled fits in there too.
And it's all kind of grouped into, I would assume, low income. I mean,
Exactly, low income.
And I mean
We're
that
low
in a-
income.
I
I'm
mean
sorry.
that
The
in a-
Pokies were low income.
And I mean that in a very respectful way,
Yeah.
because low income doesn't mean trashy people.
No.
It doesn't mean low lives. That it means, look, I
People
don't
that work
have the
hard
money that
people
you've
that
got.
work hard for a living and
And
try
so-
to make what they make.
And a lot of this separation of the haves and the have-nots does not help anyone.
It's
For
like
the-
that freeway. 35 is a separation point almost. Down
Yeah,
south,
it-
anyways. Down south, that 35 is a separation point. You know,
Yeah.
when we first moved down south, it was like, ooh, Dove Springs, ooh, it's the ghetto, ooh, you know.
Well, the actually
There's
Dove
good
Springs
people
was
there.
good then when you moved.
Yeah, well, it's a nice neighborhood. People have taken back the streets. It's not as bad as people might think it is. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on down there. I ain't going to say that we don't. But, you know, it's a nice neighborhood. We live comfortably, even though, you know, I guess we're between low and medium income, so to speak. But, you know, we live comfortably. We make our bills. We make our payments. We you know, we're still living more or less week to week. But we're still getting things done. We're not starving. We're the lights are still on. The gas is still there. You know, I'm fat. So, you know, it's you know, we're living comfortably. But it's affordable where I'm at. You know, I thank my landlord for keeping things affordable, you know. They actually own the duplexes. They don't really have massive payments on them anymore. So they can keep it reasonable. And I thank the world for them, and they're wonderful people. And you know, but there's a lot going on down there. You know, there's some issues like we got a pit bull dog breeder down the street, and you know, we got I've got a little problem with that. But anyways, we won't go there. But you know, but still, just to live affordably, we got old people that come into the store, and you know, they can't pay their bills, they can't feed themselves, they can't get their medication.
Yeah.
You know, I used to think when you got Medicare that it was like being on Medicaid. Okay, you know, Medicare. Anyways. You know, they didn't have to. Pokey got a thing to get the Medicaid insurance. You know how much they were going to take out his disability? $500 a month for it. And that didn't even cover medications or anything like that. Thank God for the VA. But anyway, you know, but it's like once he realized that this god-awful amount's going to come out of his check, how can people afford to pay for Medicare? And, you know, and their medications and stuff, you know. Granted, I've gone through the thing with cancer and everything. I found out how you can, you know, get medications from the drug companies without having to pay, you know, due to your income and all this other stuff. But a lot of people don't know that.
No.
And you know, that's one of my things that where I, you know, I try to get out the word, you know. The Lord gave me cancer for a reason. First time it was to teach women how to get free mammograms. Now it's to tell you how to get your medication without having to pay. You know, because there are programs that'll help you get your medication. But the elderly are suffering badly in this city. They just can't afford to live here anymore, and they can't afford to move, and it's just ridiculous.
And this is home to them.
Yeah.
And that's what hurts the most. Why should I have to leave my home?
Because you're being taxed out of, there's property taxes and these school taxes, you know, they're just, all these bonds, these frivolous bonds that go through. Do people not actually, that's another thing. When you go out and vote, you need to read about them bonds.
The bonds.
You know, you got to read, you know, you think, oh,
There's
$30
some
million
fine print in
to
there.
build a road. Where do you think they're getting it? Out of your pocket.
Well,
And there's a wealth of information on austin.gov. I had no idea how much was actually on there. Start holding those things accountable
Right.
because they already have money allocated to them from the city's budget. So
yes.
I think that we should invest a lot of time into these already existing coalitions, organizations that are paid for with city funds. You know, and I hope that those organizations help people like you.
And these city council members, I'm hoping that they don't get their pockets lined by big companies, because we had several members sitting on that city council that had a conflict of interest, you can almost say, in some of these projects going on. I'm not going to name names, but you know who you are. There's a couple of you out there that got your pockets lined by lobby groups and all this other stuff, you
yes.
know, just to vote this way, even though the people of City Austin, or the people of Austin didn't want, like, mainly toll roads and bicycle lanes. But
It'll be interesting to see what this freshman class of
Yes.
10-1 will do, because it's brand new for everyone. Mayor Adler is figuring out, how do I be a mayor with such a diverse council? How do we all get along when we have such differing views?
It's definitely going to be different. It's definitely going to be challenging.
And everyone
And
equally
it's-
wants to be their voice for their district, which is great. But then where do you draw the line?
And their
in-
enthusiasm. I hope they don't lose their enthusiasm and fall into the old ways.
I think that there's a lot of hope in many of them that
Right.
they really did, a lot of them really did go to their community outreach programs, and they went to meet their constituents. And I met a whole bunch of different candidates
Block walking.
in districts that it wasn't even their district, but they wanted to know Austin as a whole. They wanted, District 1 wanted
they
to
have
know.
to. They have
yeah,
to.
District 1 wanted to know what was going on in District 10. And, so everybody would kind of culminate their ideas and kind of get an idea of what they were getting into with the new council, with different ideas, different
Yes.
party affiliations, in a nonpartisan race. I mean, am I the only one that's like, what?
It is nonpartisan,
it's
but
supposed
still,
to be
but still,
nonpartisan,
but still, partisan politics does creep into it. So
Oh,
don't
yeah.
let it creep into you, because
There-
we're watching you.
it's
We're
true.
watching you.
And there are some incredible things with 10-1 in that this is the first time that Austin has ever implemented this. So I think that a lot of credit is due to the sort of advocates that started this 10-1 system
Yes.
early on. And they know, and they all know who they are because now all of Austin
And you
can
know how
benefit
afraid
from
you know
it.
how afraid the old city council was of this, you know.
Oh,
They
wow.
were very afraid. They did not want this to go through. City council did not want this to go through. They did not want to lose their cushy jobs. They didn't want to lose that cushy money coming their way. And hey, and try to do better in the art department down there at City Hall. I could stack cardboard boxes and make sculptures of a human myself, you know, and you can pay me the $5,000 for that wonderful little piece of art. I have access to all kinds of cardboard boxes. You know, if you want it, I'll be your artist down there. Get some really,
Yeah.
some really meaningful art down there. Oh, have you seen
You
the
know,
cardboard box legs?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
But-
it's in the lobby. They're flattened cardboard, and they're made like into human figures. And I looked at their little brochure. They paid $5,000 for
That
that.
was crazy. You know, you said something a moment ago about the previous city council, and I hear what you're saying because the people spoke. They said no more. We don't want the old. Out with the old and in with the new. We don't want it. And the people spoke.
And they didn't want to
And,
hear what was said. They knew that that was going to happen because as soon as that came through to prove that 10-1, they were scared. And how many of them actually ran for office
All
as
of them.
under 10-1?
All
All
of
of them did?
All of them. Only one left, Tobo.
No.
Well, Cheryl Cole ran for mayor, but then Bill, the bicycle person, the cyclist, the person that probably that's really
Yeah, he
responsible
backed
for
out.
these bike
He
lanes.
backed out of the
He was-
runoff.
Yeah. So all of them did. I mean, Mike Martinez, of course, ran for mayor, but
Yeah.
they all ran. So the people
Spoke.
showed up and they spoke and they voted.
And this was a major issue. It was nice to see City of Austin actually, and the residents and the people of Austin actually getting out and doing something. They should pay more attention to whenever the major elections come along.
Exactly.
Because you know, I've been a voting judge before, and there's been times when not even 20 people have come in for a presidential election. And it started really rolling in when Clinton and all that started rolling through, you know, when in those years that started getting the population started getting going. And I know with Obama, it moved the people to go out and actually get out and vote and stuff. But you got to be careful when you vote. You know, there's some of these little slippery eels that promise you everything just to get your vote. And once they get in that office, they're change their tune.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
one of the main places that we have to start, and that I've been telling candidates and anybody that plans to run for office, a lot of people do not understand the basic, very, very bottom level, basic verbiage. Like a lot of people do not know how to read a ballot. They don't know how to register to vote. And people, the general public has to be able to feel comfortable to say, Councilwoman, you know, whoever. I want you to explain to me what you mean by policy A and how that breaks down for me. And let's talk dollars and cents.
Exactly.
You know, how is that going to break down into my rent? How does that break down into how many Pampers I'm going to buy for the week?
Well-
Because that's what relates to people. And a lot
Exactly.
of people are like, how the hell am I going to vote yes or no on an urban rail bond when I'm being taxed out of my house and I don't have time to worry about that because I don't even have groceries in my fridge. And that's not all the have-nots. There's some haves that are like, I'm about to have not so much.
On these bond issues too, sometimes they're just so ridiculously, we don't need these things. How did they pass? And you see there's a gazillion votes for and no, hardly any against. It's like, people, get real.
Well, they picked the one thing out that's going to bring attention that to make you feel that this will benefit you.
Oh, like the health care bill. There's stuff in that health care, that Obamacare bill, that relates to the pipeline in Alaska. What does that have to do with my health?
Well,
I think, and I also
There's a
think-
stack like this. Nobody read the darn thing. Oh, well, let's just vote for it because it's Obamacare. If you would sit down and read Obamacare and see what's in that Obamacare that shouldn't be there, that has nothing to do with your health,
well, I think most people went on the premise that, well, I'm going to have free health care. Well, let
It's
me tell you,
not.
there's nothing free.
Yeah, nothing's free.
You're going to pay
Someone's
for
paying.
Exactly. There's nothing free. But do you realize you're going to get fined if you don't have the health
exactly.
care? You know.
Exactly. And I did a test on the Obama thing, okay? I logged in as Mrs. Toodly-Doo and created an account for SAT, okay? Well, for one thing, I registered in there and I said I lived like out in Comanche, Texas,
Okay.
okay? get my income. Same exact facts for Comanche, Texas as for Travis County. In Comanche, Texas, I'd get it for free. In Travis County, I'd have to pay.
That's so interesting, right?
And,
Right?
and
Fine
so
print that
what,
no one reads.
What is that all about? You know, and then you know, like the pre-existing condition and all that other stuff. You know, it's just weird. And you know,
Yeah.
it's just why is there's also in it, if you notice and you go through the thing, your options for insurance coverages in Comanche, Texas. I had several different insurance companies I could use. In Travis County, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah. So what's that all
wasn't good.
about?
That wasn't good.
You know, and why aren't all this list of Comanche County same list I could pick from in Travis County?
And those are little intricacies that some government officials will have to figure out at some time. But what made me want to point out something when you were talking about the elderly was, and it's not just the elderly, it's the low income, the at risk, these different factions that desperately need help, that we as a society are fighting over each other. But fundamentally, we understand low income needs help, at risk needs help, the elderly needs help. These are things that we can pretty much on a fundamental level agree on, no matter what your party affiliation is. And so I hope while council is figuring it out, or Congress, or whoever is supposed to be making these vital decisions, I hope that people like you and I, and the three of us, can learn to depend on each other. Just help your neighbor out. Nobody does that anymore.
You talk also about the
Well,
housing thing too. You know, the Section 8 housing. They open up the roll like once every 5 years for people to go down and get on it, okay? Well, they only open it up, and that list never gets any smaller, because once you're in Section 8, you never leave out of Section 8. I knew a family that she qualified for a 3-bedroom home. Her kids grew up and moved out of the house, and she still was getting Section 8. Well, that's just a whole nother story. But Section 8, like in East Texas, one of my relatives immediately got a house. So why can't they transfer some of those funds from where they don't have the necessity and the need for as much Section 8 housing? Why don't they transfer those monies over to a county like ours that has a massive need for Section 8 housing, and they're not getting the money, they're not getting funded?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how it's
I'm not
necessarily
sure how that
allocated, but I'm sure
works.
the federal government have some percentages
Some way of
that they
doing
put
it.
in it. But that's
That's an interesting one there.
It is. It is.
You know, because you know you're living in Podunk, East Texas. Boom, you're in a house.
I'm hoping that
No
neighbors
problem.
can learn to help each other more.
Yeah.
And if you know an organization like the Diaper Bank of Texas, and
What's
you know,
this? There's a diaper bank.
yeah,
in
there's
Texas?
a diaper bank.
Where?
There's a milk bank of Austin.
I know about
over
the
in
milk
Austin.
bank, and I know about the Capital Area Food Bank, but I never heard
There's
about
a
the
diaper
diaper bank.
There's a Diaper Bank of Texas, and it's they allocate Pampers out for.
Can they get it from 311? Find out from 311 where it's at?
I don't know. I'm not 100%
211.
Or
sure.
211, whatever
I'm
that
not
number.
100% sure
211.
on that
211.
one, but I would assume so. And it's for Pampers for people that need it, or
You hear
for
that, Deb
for
Springs? Pampers.
for children that get caught in a foster system or are placed with CPS. These Pampers go out to those areas. So use these resources that are already
that was
there and
just-
help each other
that's
out.
it.
Pass this information along.
The Pampers Bank, I'm going to pass along. I need to find out about that one.
You know, like last week we were talking about the
In fact,
school choice
I'm
week.
going to go take a look here
And
real
we're
quick.
talking about school choice week. If you know someone that has a child that is not succeeding in a public school, direct them to East Austin, college prep school, or direct them to
Charter, anywhere,
exactly
yeah.
a charter or something that's another option that you just happen to know about.
But there's some
There
some-
sure as heck
pro
is.
choice. There are
I told
different
you.
school choice organizations that can assist them. Now, one of the things you're talking about, neighbors helping neighbors out. You know what? It's a biblical principle. And if we were to do this, oh my goodness, how much further along will we be? But the key to it is that we could prevent so much. You're talking about preventive maintenance. That's how you're going to prevent a lot of things if we begin to help our neighbors out, help our brothers out. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah, and like this, one of the things that I do, and my husband's probably going to be like, I can't believe you said you coupon on TV. But, you know, when
Hey.
Walgreens has like buy one, get two free laundry detergents, I'll keep one and give two to people that I know need them.
what
It's
do you know
something
about
as
it?
simple like
Exactly.
that. You help 3 people wash
Well-
clothes for however long with $5. If you have a coupon,
Exactly.
so why not? I mean, it's simple things like that. If you don't have clothes that you know a friend in need could use, just give them.
Exactly.
I mean, just because
Donate.
it's almost like it's a foreign concept to just give.
It's a biblical principle.
It's like people see giving as giving to a charity or giving to money to a donation for a fundraiser. It can be as simple as, Miss Marilyn, you need some money for gas to get back home. You know what? I've got $20. You can have 10, or something like that.
Of
It's-
course.
That's giving back.
That's how it used
While
to be
we're
in the
all
old
waiting,
days.
while we're waiting for the
You
government
could
to
probably
fix
remember
things.
the old days. We're only 29, but we remember
Yeah.
those days where, you know, like the churches. Churches used to, you know, you would go into the church and you'd say, you know, I'm a little late on my electric bill. Can you help? And the church would give you some money from the
There's a lot
from the tithing that they would get.
Yeah.
And nowadays, boy, those churches hold on to that money.
Well, and two, some of their funding may come from federal
Exactly.
monies, but they're tight on what they receive, so they have to be tight on what they can give out.
And it's a shame because, you know, like I said, the church that I grew up in, you know, if you went in there with the pastor, the congregation, you know, if your house needed painted, the congregation would go out and paint it. You know, it was the thing. You know, I grew outside in a little suburb outside of Miami, and you know, it still was, you know, people help people, but over the years, people have gotten
Cold?
not cold hardened.
Well, that benevolence fund, I mean, that money has kind of run.
But there's people also who abuse
They
abuse
have.
the church system like that. Like you've got people who abuse the system, and that's all they do is gimme, gimme. I heard somewhere that on the food stamp program, that there's one of these state representatives or senators or something that's trying to go back to a little known law, or it's in the law books, but he wants to bring it to the forefront, whereas you could only receive food stamps every 3 years for 3 months total, unless you are in a work program or actively looking for work. That would be scary for some people.
Well, it would be, because there are a lot of single mothers out there that, you know, they don't.
Daycare is ridiculous, so how are
Well,
they going to get their babies taken
Daycare
care
is
of?
ridiculous. They don't have an education. I mean, it's a whole lot.
So why would this person? I forget who it is. I heard about it on one of the radio talk shows that they were talking about on it, and it's like, why would they even want to do something like that? Now I can see. I've been at work. Some lady comes in, 3 carts full, totally junk food, sugar, chips, sodas, nothing healthy in there. $600 worth, pay with food stamps, and take it home. I wish that they would monitor the usage and the purchases of the food stamps, because if you're buying all this junk food just to satisfy, here, take a bag of chips, and not actually giving them somewhat of a balanced, healthy diet. Now I know WIC has done that. You know, they have like the milk, the eggs, the cheese. They've added fresh vegetables to it now, where they can get fresh vegetables. But you know, it's a structured thing. Some of these people that are on food stamps buying all this CRAP,
Now, did they cut the sodas out?
they have not cut the sodas. I have not heard about that, but I heard that a while back. I heard somewhere that they were monitoring the purchases of food stamps, because you know these kids are growing up junk food nation, and you know I see some fit kids in the store, and I see some not so fit kids in the store. And, you know, they'll come around, they'll be shoving donuts in their mouth, they'll be opening up the Takis and eating the Takis and all this, and screaming for this junk, screaming for this junk. You know, I see a few that are eating fruit, you know, which is good and everything, but, you know, you see, it's
the
a junk food
parents.
nation. It's the junk food
And
nation. And then, you know, the woman that had the 3 carts full, she wasn't no skinny mini, so,
And
you know,
I think
it's a
with-
shame.
I think with food stamps, a lot of people see quantity, not necessarily quality. And that's the everyday penny pinching American. It's like, okay, I can get this much soup for $1, you know, ramen noodle soup, as opposed to 1 can of organic soup for the
Well,
same
granted,
price.
the organic is higher dollar, but there is a
Yeah.
way to feed the children healthier
Yeah, I agree.
on the
Yeah.
food stamp thing. It's
Well,
not the
won't
junk.
you
It's
make
not
a
the junk food.
homemade pot of soup?
Yeah.
That will last a week for some kids. That'll
well,
be
people
healthy.
don't know how to do it. It's a convenience nation. You know, the children are just
convenience,
inducted
exactly.
into this. Let's get the snacks. You know, the kids are in the junk. I hate to see what they're going to look like when they get. You know, they already have kids that eat too many Takis and the spicy stuff, having stomach problems at 10 years old.
Yeah, and with the introduction of processed, frozen foods and in the world of convenience and immediacy.
Well, at least the meat lasagna
want
has
something now.
has something in it. You know, there is
Yeah.
some nutritional value to the meat lasagna or the frozen chicken nuggets.
And
or
actually-
it beats a bag of chips.
And actually cooking a meal from scratch, you put back in generational storytelling. This is how how my grandmother taught me to make chicken dumplings. And you don't measure with measuring cups, you just throw it in. And
Pinch in
yeah,
here, you
yeah.
taste it.
We don't have recipes, we have stories passed down.
Yeah.
You know, and so putting that back into food, you could use, you know, government help for that to eat healthy. But I think if you're not educated, if you don't come from, if your family doesn't, it's hard to do it when you don't have a support system at home. It's easy, like I've been wanting to lose 30 pounds for I don't know how long. But if I don't have someone,
What's that?
but I mean, if I don't have
I hear somebody say something about losing weight. That's not in
you
my
don't-
vocabulary.
if you don't have like a good support system that's going to eat healthy with you and be like, you know what, yeah, we can do this as a team.
Pokey.
It's a lot
Pokey.
harder. It makes that mountain to climb to eat healthy and stay on the right track a lot harder when you don't have a family, a support that's like, you know what, we're going to make our food from scratch.
The other
We're going
good
to
one-
make sure we know where our food comes from.
The other one, good one I like is the TANF fund, the Texas Aid to Needy Families. So what do you think that money should be used for? Paying your electric bill, paying your gas bill? How about let's buy our beer and cigarettes on it?
Well,
Yeah,
But then that doesn't cover everyone then,
Yeah.
although, because there are some, like, you know, like some elderly that
yeah,
could
there,
use
there are
those
some that do,
help.
but
Well,
there
some
are
others.
a lot
But
that
the
go
thing-
for the cigarettes and beer.
but at some point in time, it is going to run out.
Yeah.
It
And,
is.
and I don't know that if these recipients are going to be ready for
Hurting.
it.
They're not going to be. They're not going to be ready for it.
Because the federal government is broke.
Is
The money
enabling them.
is
They're
not.
enabling them.
They have.
Yeah, so it would be beautiful for people to learn to replant their own vegetables. You know, to buy a chicken. Yeah, so one of my
I
that's
had
one of the
chickens,
things that
but
my
a dog
husband
ate
wants
it.
to do.
Some dogs ate
But
it.
I
We had
mean,
great eggs.
you're right. As a people, as a society, what are we going to do when we don't know where our food comes from? How beautiful would it be to raise your own chicken, eat your own eggs from your
I
own
love
chicken
Lucy and
that you
Ethel.
raised?
That's living
I
off the
mean,
land.
Living off the land, exactly.
And we need
exactly.
to teach our children that how to plant
Exactly.
vegetables.
Exactly.
But
They plant a bean in a cup at school and
Yeah,
raise
and
it
it
to a
sprouts.
seedling, and then they're dead with it. You know.
But
Okay.
if we begin that, like if you begin that with your family and I begin it with mine,
Yes.
you and I aren't going to be suffering when we don't have food because we're going to have ours growing.
Right.
And I'm the type
But
of-
we have the ability to do it. You know, we
Yeah,
might
we
not
do.
do it now, but it's up
it
here.
is there because
You know, my kids, you know, so my kids, there's one who grows some stuff. He's trying to grow a little garden and stuff. And, you know, there's the other one, you know, he's a pretty good cook and all that. He'll cook stuff from scratch. But, you know, I tried to keep him out of being the fast food nation, you know.
right.
And, you know, education's the key, this nutrition and stuff, you know. These kids are growing up without so much of this nutrition that things are going to start going crazy in them, you know.
Well, we've got kids
Diabetes,
raising
juvenile,
kids.
yeah, we do have.
We've got kids raising kids.
Yes.
But if we could teach our children to not be wasteful,
Yes.
don't waste food.
and be appreciative.
And I tell this all the time to my nieces and nephews. There's some kids somewhere else that didn't get that meal today. Don't waste nothing. You only, you know, don't let your eyes be so big to where you think you can eat all this. And parents too, we need to be more conservative. Even how we fix the serving sizes for our children. Don't just pile it all up on a plate. If you do, they're going to eat it.
If they say
You
if
know.
they would actually see the actual portion size on there, their eyeballs would bug out.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, because
Yes.
we have a nutrition program where I work at, and we learn about portion sizes and stuff. And it's like when I first saw it, it's like that's like
On a saucer.
that's
right
like
on
a
plate.
spoonful to me.
It was on a saucer, right on the plate, right?
Portioning,
plate.
portioning is everything. And, you know, I just hate to see the children that are going to suffer because the parents are not paying attention to things like this, nutrition. And I know it's gone through the generations as well.
Yeah.
You know, my mom cooked everything that we had for dinner. She never, when ragu first came out, my father freaked out and said, this spaghetti sauce doesn't taste right. And my mother's like, well, I tried something new. I put a new seasoning in. My father would go out to the trash can every time we had spaghetti to look for the ragu jar. You know, you could tell the
wasn't real.
difference. And my father was a stick, is this ragu? You know, she finally had to fess up she was using ragu. But, you know, but it's still, you know, they cooked every night. You know, I work late and I don't get a chance to cook anymore, so I'm falling into the thing. So I try to get Pokey to eat better, but his idea is the 5 for $1 snack cakes and instant food gratification and you know.
Well, then guess what you're going to do? We're all going to get back to the basics.
Exactly. Hear that, Pokey?
We're gonna get
Can you hear
back
that outside?
to
I'm going
the
to come beat it in your head.
So
Yeah.
you
Good
may
night,
have to
folks.
cook-
I got to go out there and go
Okay.
roust me up some of those guys
Thanks,
out there.
producer. So the thing of it is that if we have to cook a meal, say 1 or 2 meals on a Sunday to stretch the whole week, at least you're gonna get a good home cooked meal.
I tried to do that, but he still won't do it. Put it in a baggie that all he has to do is put it in the microwave.
Well, you just have to train him.
I don't think I can. He's past being trained.
If he want to eat, he'll have to eat it the way you have it. But
So with the show,
the groceries though, so you buy what you want.
so with the show coming to a close, hopefully
Yes.
we were able to answer and address some of the questions that Austinites or voters in general may have. Hopefully you'll be able to join in with us. And
Yes.
actually, I did want to say happy
Yes,
birthday to
yes.
my son who just turned 12. So happy birthday,
happy
Xavier.
birthday! Yes,
Xavier
yes,
Pastrana.
yes.
It's my last year of having him
my
before his
goodness,
teen
that's
years.
True.
Yeah, so girls are coming into play and not wanting mom so much anymore.
Well, we'll have to make sure they eat their vegetables.
Yeah.
We'll have to make sure they know how to cook, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another thing of helping your neighbors out. We can teach these girls how to cook.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We can teach them how to cook. So, in everything we've said tonight, you're absolutely right. I hope that, you know, we will get more involved in 10-1. We'll get to know who it is that represents us, and then just get involved and partner with those things that we want to partner with. But it's really just going to make your neighborhood, your community a better place, a safer place, a place that you want to call home. So my thing is get involved, participate, know what's going on. Because if you don't, all you're going to do is just complain and complain and complain. And so that's not good for anyone. So you need to get involved, and you'll know what's happening at all times.
I
Isn't that
second
right?
that.
Oh, and not just with 10-1, we need to, because the legislative session is going on now, we need to know what's going on at the
Yes.
state level as well too. Because when these laws and bills and things get passed, it's going to affect each and every one of us. So we need to know who represents us on the state level. We need to know what it is or what bills it is that your representative or your senators or filing in the Senate or the House. So that's some more homework we need to do, because it may be something that you're not, you know, that's not conducive for you or your family or your community. You need to speak up, for sure. Isn't
Well
that right?
said. Well said. There needs to be a lot more Adelas and Chris's and Marilyns out there trying to be liaisons and trying to get this stuff out.
Yes.
In terms. And so always feel free to connect with the show. Find us online, YouTube.
Yes.
So thank you again, Chris and Miss Marilyn.
Thank you. Thank you. Trailer Park Show. Have a good one.